The noise around Ibrox this week has not faded one bit, and that tells you everything about the moment Rangers are living right now. There is a real sense that something has shifted, not just because of one result, but because of how the club is moving, thinking, and acting as the January window begins to take shape. Everyone knew this month was going to be decisive, and already we have our first concrete piece of business agreed, which says a lot about how early the planning has been done behind the scenes. Rangers have wasted no time getting a deal lined up, and while it might not be the glamorous headline signing some supporters are craving, it is still a significant move that reflects a wider reshaping of the squad. The decision regarding Oscar Cortez feels like the closing of a chapter that never truly settled. When he first arrived, there was genuine excitement about what he could offer on the wing, the pace, the directness, the unpredictability that Rangers have often lacked in wide areas. In those early appearances, you could see flashes of quality, moments where he looked capable of unsettling defenders and giving the team a different dimension. But football is ruthless, and potential only carries you so far when injuries, fitness issues, and lack of rhythm keep interrupting your progress. His time in Spain did not go to plan. Minutes were hard to come by, and momentum never built. Now, Rangers have acted decisively, bringing him back only to move him on again, this time with a clearer purpose, sending him out on loan to South America with an option that could turn permanent is a pragmatic move. It allows the player to reset his career in a different environment while giving Rangers at least a chance of recouping some value down the line. No one inside the club will be under any illusions that they are getting every penny back from what was invested, but football decisions cannot be frozen by past mistakes. Sometimes the smartest move is accepting what is and focusing on what comes next. For Cortez, this is an opportunity to rediscover himself. For Rangers, it is about freeing space, reducing risk, and opening the door for players who can contribute right now. That sense of urgency is being driven by what has happened on the pitch. The victory over Celtic was not just another derby win to enjoy for a few days before moving on. It was a statement that reinforced belief inside the squad and among the support. The performance had intensity, discipline, and a clear tactical identity, all hallmarks of what Philippe Clement has been trying to instill since his arrival. Rangers did not stumble into that result, they earned it, and the confidence drawn from it has carried through the camp ever since. Suddenly, the table looks different, the gap feels bridgeable, and the conversation has shifted from damage limitation to genuine ambition. Yet, for all the momentum, there is a realism around the training ground that this squad is still a work in progress. The manager has been honest about that, acknowledging earlier in the season that standards were not where they needed to be. What has changed is that the structure is now in place and players are responding to clear ideas. Connor Barron has flourished with more responsibility, showing energy and intelligence in midfield. Nicholas Raskin has brought control and bite, while Mohamed Diomande has proven he can step in and do a job when required. There is balance there, but also an understanding that depth matters just as much as a settled starting 11. That is why the link with Emil Bohinen makes sense when you look beyond the surface. On paper, midfield might not scream out as the most urgent area, but football seasons are long, suspensions happen, injuries strike, and form fluctuates. Bohinen offers experience and tactical awareness, someone who can slot in without demanding the entire system bends around him. A loan deal keeps flexibility, which is crucial at a time when Rangers are still evaluating who truly fits the long-term vision. At the same time, there are likely exits on the horizon. Joe Rothwell's situation points towards a departure, and younger players like Lyle Cameron may benefit more from regular minutes elsewhere than sitting on the fringes. All of this feeds into a bigger picture where Rangers are trying to be smarter, sharper, and more decisive than they have been in recent windows. The mistakes of the past have been well documented: investments that did not deliver, squad planning that lacked coherence. This window feels different not because of the number of rumors flying around, but because of the tone. Deals are being lined up quietly, options are being explored with purpose, and there is a clear link between what happens in the market and what is needed on the pitch. Attention now turns to the next challenge, a tough trip north that will test whether this momentum can be sustained. Matches like this have a habit of exposing teams who get carried away too quickly, but they also provide opportunities. With rivals not in action, 3 points would apply pressure and keep Rangers right in the conversation. No new faces are expected to be thrown in immediately, and that in itself shows trust in the group that has earned recent results. The message seems to be that reinforcements will come, but only if they add something tangible. The coming weeks will define so much. The league is tightening, belief is growing, and the support can feel that there is something building again. Decisions taken now, both in terms of who leaves and who arrives, will echo well beyond this month. Rangers have shown they can respond on the pitch when challenged. The question hanging in the air is how boldly and wisely the club backs that response as the window unfolds, because the opportunity is there, and moments like this do not come around often. As the days tick by, the feeling around Rangers is no longer one of cautious hope, but of growing expectation, and that brings its own pressure. Momentum in football is a powerful thing, but it is also fragile, and everyone connected to the club knows that maintaining it requires sharp decision-making as much as passion on the pitch. The players have responded to the demands placed on them. Training intensity has lifted, standards have been raised, and there is a collective understanding that the margin for error is now smaller than ever. Every match feels heavier, every performance more scrutinized, because belief has returned, and with it, the demand to prove that this run is not just a temporary surge. What stands out most in recent weeks is how controlled Rangers have become in key moments. There is a calmness in possession that was missing earlier in the season, an ability to manage games rather than chase them in frantic spells. The defensive unit looks more organized, communication is clearer, and transitions are being handled with greater discipline. That structure allows attacking players to express themselves without exposing the team, and it is no coincidence that confidence has spread through the squad as a result. When players trust the system, individual performances tend to rise naturally. This is where the conversation around recruitment becomes so important. Rangers are not looking to overhaul everything mid-season, because that would risk disrupting the balance that has been built. Instead, the focus appears to be on targeted additions and sensible exits, moves that support what is already working rather than resetting it. The Cortez situation fits neatly into that approach. By resolving his future early, Rangers avoid carrying uncertainty through the window and send a clear message that sentiment will not override logic. It is a difficult reality of modern football, but one the club must embrace if it is to remain competitive. There is also a wider financial context that cannot be ignored. Every decision in the market has a knock-on effect, not just for this season, but for planning ahead. Rangers are clearly conscious of maintaining flexibility, especially with European ambitions still very much alive. Loans with options, short-term solutions that keep doors open. These are tools that allow the club to adapt as circumstances change. It may not always excite supporters in the way marquee signings do, but it often proves more sustainable in the long run. On the pitch, the leadership emerging within the squad deserves attention. Experienced heads are guiding younger players through this period, ensuring standards do not dip when pressure rises. You can see it in the way midfielders organize shape when defending a lead, or how forwards press as a unit rather than chasing individually. These are small details, but they add up over a season. Rangers are no longer relying on moments alone. They are building performances on foundations that travel well, especially in difficult away fixtures. The upcoming run of matches will test that resilience. Playing away from Ibrox has been a challenge at times, but recent performances suggest Rangers are learning how to impose themselves in hostile environments. There is a patience now, an understanding that silencing a crowd can be as effective as scoring early. If they can continue to manage these situations intelligently, the belief generated by recent results will only strengthen. Behind the scenes, the role of the manager is becoming increasingly clear. There is a sense that players understand exactly what is expected of them, both tactically and mentally. Training sessions are said to be intense, competitive, and focused on detail with no room for complacency. That culture shift is often what separates teams that flirt with success from those that sustain it. Rangers are still in the process of embedding that mentality, but signs are encouraging. As the window progresses, speculation will inevitably grow, but the real story lies in how Rangers respond week after week. Performances like the one against Celtic raise expectations, but they also set a benchmark that must be matched. Dropping levels now would undo much of the progress made. That is why every selection, every substitution, every tactical tweak feels magnified. The margins are fine, and Rangers are operating in a space where consistency is king. There is also an emotional edge to this period that cannot be understated. Supporters have reconnected with the team, not just because of results, but because of the attitude on display. Effort, commitment, and clarity resonate deeply, especially in a league where mentality often decides outcomes. The atmosphere around the club reflects that renewed connection, and while expectations are rising, there is also an appreciation of the work being done to rebuild trust. Nothing is guaranteed from here, and that is perhaps the most honest assessment of where Rangers stand. Opportunity is present, momentum is real, but football rarely follows a straight line. The challenge is to keep pushing forward without losing the discipline that has fueled this resurgence. Every point matters, every decision counts, and the coming weeks will reveal whether Rangers can turn this promising phase into something that truly endures as the season reaches its defining stretch. The sense of anticipation around Rangers continues to build with each passing day, and it is fueled by the idea that this season is still wide open if the right choices are made at the right time. There is no talk inside the club of settling or standing still. Instead, everything points towards maintaining pressure, staying focused on performance levels, and making sure the recent uplift does not fade into frustration. The league table has a habit of telling the truth over time, and Rangers know that the only way to keep climbing is by backing up big results with relentless consistency. What has changed most noticeably is the mindset within the squad. Earlier in the campaign, setbacks felt heavier and confidence looked fragile. Now, there is a willingness to embrace responsibility, to take control of matches, even when things are not flowing perfectly. Players are making smarter decisions under pressure, choosing when to slow the tempo and when to accelerate. That maturity is not accidental. It comes from repetition on the training ground and clarity in the message being delivered. Everyone understands their role, and that understanding breeds confidence. As January unfolds, the focus remains firmly on the collective rather than individuals. Potential arrivals are being assessed on how they fit the system, not just on reputation or past highlights. That approach reflects lessons learned. Rangers have been down the road of short-term fixes before, and the cost of those decisions has been felt. This time, there is a determination to add only what is necessary, players who can contribute immediately without blocking pathways or unsettling the group. It is a careful balance, but one that feels more deliberate than reactive. There is also an awareness that success in this phase of the season often comes down to squad management rather than star power. Rotation, freshness, and adaptability will play huge roles as fixtures pile up. Rangers are already showing signs that they can cope with those demands. Players coming off the bench are impacting games, not just seeing out minutes. That depth of contribution can be the difference between staying in the hunt and falling away when fatigue sets in. The road ahead will not be straightforward. Away trips, tight pitches, and stubborn opponents will test patience and resolve. Rangers cannot rely on emotion alone, even with confidence high. Control, discipline, and concentration will be required, especially in matches where chances are scarce. These are the moments where titles are often won or lost, not in the headline fixtures, but in grinding encounters that demand professionalism. Before we continue, make sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications to get all the exclusive news about Rangers FC. Don't overlook any details about your beloved team. It's crucial for Rangers FC fans. Rangers are stirring up controversy behind the scenes as whispers emerge from Ibrox about Danny Röhl's latest disciplinary move. The German manager, known for his meticulous approach and zero-tolerance policy, is said to have dropped one of his key starters following a high-profile defeat in the New Year's Old Firm clash. Sources close to the club suggest the decision was not purely tactical. Rather, it's being framed as a clear message to the squad. No one is above the manager's expectations. Fans at Ibrox have been buzzing, divided between shock and grudging respect for Röhl's uncompromising standards. Some insiders claim the player in question, previously considered untouchable due to past performances, was called out for a lack of commitment on the pitch, leaving teammates and supporters stunned. This development has only added fuel to the ongoing debate about Röhl's methods since his arrival, with critics questioning whether such tough measures will galvanize the squad or create friction in the dressing room. The atmosphere around the club has reportedly become tense, with training sessions described as unusually intense and players being closely monitored for adherence to Röhl's exacting standards. Rumors suggest that the benching could be more than a temporary measure, signaling a longer-term shake-up that may impact the team's selection moving forward. Football analysts in Scotland are already speculating on who might be called upon to fill the void and how this could influence Rangers' strategies in upcoming fixtures. Despite the uncertainty, there's a sense that Röhl's approach is calculated, intended to assert authority and reinforce a culture of accountability. Whether this bold move pays off in terms of team cohesion, and results remains to be seen. But one thing is clear: at Rangers, no player can rest on reputation alone. The Ibrox faithful are bracing themselves for what could be a turbulent period as speculation continues to swirl about the full consequences of the manager's stern action. Greetings, fans. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, as it's greatly appreciated by Rangers FC. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments section below. Until the next video, stay tuned